We're back. We're somewhere else today, though.
I mean, we're physically on the same property. We're just in a different
Yeah,
part of
you
the
guys
property.
wouldn't know that though, because our studio's in the basement, and this is the patio to the location of the studio.
Correct.
So figured we'd change it up a little bit. The weather was nice. We're coming to the end of summer, so we're getting that crispy fall weather's moving in. So
Yeah.
figured we'd change it up, and I think today, as you all are aware, I think we're kind of we had some other plans, but I think we're going to shift into a different direction.
Yeah. And I apologize if I have any coughing. I'm struggling with this cold. I'm on the back end of it, but I have a cough drop in right now, extra if needed. So hopefully, got a drink. So, yeah, I had several things that were kind of on my radar to talk about this week that were somewhat in the same vein of the things that we've talked about.
Yeah,
and that's fine. We can talk about those things at another time.
Yep.
There's a couple things that are on my mind today. One of which is, this is a 9/11 anniversary, 24 years.
Yeah.
It's a somber day for America.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too deep into the weeds on that particular day and topic, but, we all post, never forget and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
I fear that there are a lot of people who have forgotten what happened that day.
Yeah. And for me, I'm 32, so I still remember 9/11. I was in class in elementary school that day.
Yeah.
And I remember the TVs. I remember the teachers. I remember the reaction of everything. So, I was just old enough to quite start to understand what was happening,
to compute a little bit,
but also not realize how serious it was at the same time.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, a tragic, horrible day on a lot of levels. I mean, a lot of people lost their lives in those events, and a lot of people lost their lives trying to help the people that were affected by that stuff. So it's a dark anniversary, and it's hard to believe that 24 years has gone by.
Know, that's wild.
It's crazy to think that. But and another thing that's really heavy on my mind and on my heart today is the events that took place yesterday with Charlie Kirk. And we've referenced him on here before.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to preface. I'm just going to put it out there right now. I don't care whether or not you agreed with the man ideologically or politically. That's irrelevant.
Doesn't matter.
A father and a husband, a son, lost his life yesterday, and it didn't have to happen.
No, and you took the words right out of my mouth. It's exactly what I wanted to say. It was can we all just drop the politics and ideology stuff for 2 seconds and just be human beings and just sympathize the fact that a husband was lost, a son was lost, a grandson, a father, a brother, a friend, something so horrible that was so unnecessary.
Right. And that's the thing, the pettiness of the political differences. At the end of the day, that's not what matters. And, one of the things that really struck me scrolling through social media yesterday was the lack of empathy from a lot of people, obviously people who disagreed with him. But I just can't believe that we have gotten to this point in our society within the cultural fabric of our country that somehow your disagreements politically with a person take precedence over having any empathy about a human being losing his life.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around that.
It's so horrible and such a cowardly act by the person that did it.
Right. Right.
And I know there's supposed to be some kind of conference or something tonight. They're supposed to, the FBI and the guy that traveled to Utah is supposed to reveal some information tonight. Because they had, I don't know how much you want to get into that, but
go ahead. Yeah, whatever you want to talk about.
They found a weapon yesterday. They found a foot imprint. They found a handprint. They have a lot of evidence, and they even got some camera footage, photos of the guy they can't quite make out. But and they'd interviewed some suspected people yesterday that were released today. But I think they found it. And I think they're supposed to release the full information tonight.
I think you're right.
Because they couldn't, obviously, with all the conferences today, they couldn't disclose anything until the investigation was closed.
Yeah, I think they want to have at least some more concrete evidence that they can present to people. Because I know yesterday, shortly after it happened, oh, we got a person in custody. We also probably everybody saw the video of this older guy
Yeah.
getting drug out. His pants were down for some damn
Yeah.
reason. I don't know what was going on.
Who knows?
He was apparently not the person. So
Yeah.
he was released. But I'm going to really probably struggle to try to put this into words. But the whole the divisiveness that where we have gotten to over political and societal issues is just like I just can't. And this is one of the things that I really admired and liked about Charlie Kirk is that he was a guy that was willing to debate you.
Yeah, openly debate
in person.
Yeah, in front of people.
He put himself out there. I mean, one of his main mantras was, I want the people who disagree with me the most to be the first people in line to let's talk about it. And I don't know how many videos you saw of him having conversations with these people, but talk about a guy who is, he listens.
Yeah.
So he understands perspective. He's respectful. He gives people their opportunity. I'd never seen him really raise his voice.
No.
I've never heard him call anybody a name directly in having a one-on-one debate with a person. Never called anybody stupid.
No.
Or anything like that. And that's the way it should be. We should be able to have that public discourse without there being retribution for your opinion.
Yeah, whether you disagree completely with someone or not,
Yeah.
you should be able to sit down and still have a conversation and have respect for each other's opinions.
Yeah. I mean,
and vice versa. Like,
yeah.
be able to see the other side for that person, but even though you don't agree with them,
correct,
still hear them out and listen to what they have to say.
Right. And that's one of the things that I think one of the things he did really well was being able to help verbally express what they, or try to get them to be able to explain why they feel the way that they do about a particular topic.
Right.
Because I think a lot of times what happens, especially on social media, is that people just, I disagree with you, you're an asshole, F you, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah, and when it's behind a keyboard, it's like there's no face, there's no emotional or like human attachment to a person.
Right.
So you're just going to rip them apart and not feel bad or any remorse for what you do or say.
Right. And, this is a guy, I mean, he's a guy that really, 31 years old, he was going to college campuses all around the country, and he kind of galvanized a group of people that, he listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I read a lot of things and heard a lot of people talk about how their kids or grandkids that are in that age group, say 16 to 25-ish, connected with them, made them feel like they were part of something.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like the MAGA movement. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is a group of people who have been squeezed out in society as, let's be honest, we look at a lot of times, we look at teenagers and we go, they're stupid, they're lazy, all they got is their nose in the phone, they don't give a shit about anything that's going on. And this is a person that changed that for a lot of people.
And inspired that
and
age
inspired
group.
people.
A lot of young people.
Yes. Because he cares. Yeah. Because he cares, and he recognized that these are the people that are going to be the future leaders of this country, or political figures, or CEOs, or whatever they may be, and they're sitting here feeling like they don't have a place in the world, and that's sad.
Yeah.
And he was able to reach those people. So it's, to me, for a person to lose his life, and it's not, I heard a lot of perspectives, and one thing that made a lot of sense to me was that he was effective at doing what he did, and is that the reason that this happened?
Yeah, I heard that too. It was nothing to do with any of his ideas or anything like that. It's just, and I think people were afraid that he was effective.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And
like, I saw a few weeks ago he was talking to somebody, and like he knew the risk he was taking with the things that he did, and
yes, he did.
In an idea of like you being a public figure and doing all these things, like yes, in your mind you're like, yeah, I'm willing to lay down my life, or lead this country, be a patriot for everyone, and inspiration to young people, but you just don't expect to lose your life like that. That's just what's so sad.
Right. It is kind of interesting that he was aware of these threats against him which again is just I understand that that's the climate that we live in today. I just can't. It just doesn't make sense to me. Just because you have an opinion that other people disagree with, and you're willing to talk about it, damn it, that's what this country is founded on. This country is founded on being able to have the opportunity to speak your mind.
You shouldn't feel that would put a target on your back.
You shouldn't have to feel that way.
And it really shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't.
But look what's happened in the last year. I mean,
Yeah.
with Trump and all the other people that were.
Yeah. Two attempts on Donald Trump's life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's not the first time, and I hate to say it, it probably won't be the last that this kind of thing happens to somebody who has a different opinion. And I just can't, I have a hard time wrapping my head around having that much hate and discontent towards somebody or toward a group of people or toward an opinion that you would resort to something like that.
Like you feel the need to take someone's life over that.
Yeah.
That's just, it's disgusting and horrible and cowardly.
Yeah.
And hopefully this person is, hopefully justice is served well with this. And, I can't, like, I've been thinking about his family all day.
Oh my gosh.
And I just, like, I can't imagine, like, I'm 32, so, like, he's in my age group.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the thing, too. The people that are nagging on him and saying all these horrible things, and, like, instead of, realizing that someone has passed, they're posting all the negative stuff online, and it's like, just put yourself in that person's shoes for a minute. Like, that wife's shoes or the children, like, think about if that was your children or your wife or husband or whoever. How would you feel in that moment?
Yeah, that was like your brother-in-law that
regardless of your view, I don't give a shit what anyone in our family or friends group or anyone outside. I don't care what your political views are. You do not deserve to be murdered.
It's and it shouldn't be about politics. That's what I'm trying to get at. And I don't know if I'm quite conveying it the right way. There's a human side to this, and there's a human side to being able to have a conversation with someone that you disagree with. How is it that we can have conversations about the Steelers and the Browns, or the Bears and the Packers, or the Yankees and the Dodgers, and people can be like, "Oh, your team sucks," and that's okay, that's fine, right? And you can have those conversations with those fans
and still be friends with those people,
right? But when it comes to politics, we can't do that.
It's like cutthroat for some reason.
And people want to blame Donald Trump, and people want to blame MAGA, and people want to blame ultra-right, far-right conservatives.
He's not the first person in office to cause this kind of debate. It's like, but you're right though. I don't understand why it's come to this, and like why there's so much violence and hate in our society today, and in America alone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, yes, in America. And how did we get to the point where we just have that low of a level of respect for human life? It's bad enough the stuff that gets said about other people, and that's one of the things that I have really tried to do over the last probably 5 years of my life when it comes to like political discourse with people, is not to take a tone with you that you're stupid, or that I'm smarter than you, or that I'm right, you're wrong. Like, you have your opinion. That's fine. And we can disagree. I'm not going to call you names. Don't call me names. Don't disparage my family. And that's okay, fine. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that I try not to get into those kinds of conversations with people, because I'm not out to change anybody's opinion. I have my own opinion. I have my own belief system, my own moral compass.
Right.
I am a person who believes that you set the example by the way you behave.
Yes.
And
hopefully you can lead by example with other people.
Lead by example with other people, to show you, and hopefully my actions and the way that I behave and the way that I treat other people will show those people what I really believe.
Right.
Without me having to say anything. Because unfortunately, the way that I believe about certain things is in opposition to some of the same people that were in opposition to him.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's really a sad situation.
Yeah, and you can really feel the weight of it, especially with like today being 9/11. But like since yesterday, like everything's just felt kind of
a little bit off,
a
little different. Yeah,
like everything's just been very bland and sad, and kind of like I'm sure everyone's feeling the same way. At least people that are, sympathizing with the family and all that. But
Right.
what was I gonna say? I just hope that the one thing is this act that this person committed is like made his voice louder, even though he's gone.
Right.
I think that resonates with a lot of people, and
I agree with that. Yeah.
this isn't gonna silence
It's
him.
not going to go away.
None of it's gonna go away. None of the ideas or anything he's ever talked about or
Right.
debated or his inspiration to this younger group of people. It's gonna carry on for generations.
If anything, I would imagine, if anything, with that group of younger people, it's probably going to really galvanize them to maybe be more vocal
Yeah.
about the things that they believe in. And, we can get into a lot of conversation about the things that he did believe in and whether they're right or they're wrong for, society as a whole. But that's another thing that I've always kind of believed in, that it starts at home.
Yeah.
And that's got to be your priority when it comes to how, like, this is what we believe, these are our values, this is our moral code, and that's where it starts. And if you do that well, your kids go out and do the same thing and have families and
Right.
lives, and they're behaving in a similar way.
Yes.
I think I'm not going to sit here and say that, traditional values, some of the traditional values that he espoused to are right for everybody. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But I guess it starts at home, and do it right and do it well within your own family.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And it's just, we could say so much about it, but it's like, what's done is done, unfortunately. And all
Yeah.
we can do is
Right.
hopefully come closer together as a country and a society and prove that those kind of people don't define who we are.
Yeah.
As Americans,
That's
as humans.
That's a really good point.
You know?
That's a really great point. Is that, you think about, I think back to what it was like on September 12th of 2001. And I mean, there wasn't a person in this country that wasn't flying a flag and wasn't really proud to be an American. It just felt like everybody kind of came together over that. And it's kind of sad that it would take a tragedy of that magnitude to accomplish that. I will be curious to see if this event. Unfortunately, I have low expectations.
Yeah, I do too.
I really do, but I'd be curious to see what that landscape looks like as we move forward.
Yeah, and like it's crazy how like 20 some years can change so much. Or I mean even a few years, but like when you said like with how people were after 9/11, like even our military was so like everyone was ready to go fight, and
Yeah. Yeah.
even I feel like today even on that whatever you want to call it, just wouldn't be the same kind of motivation, the same kind of heart and fight behind it, Not no disrespect towards our military or anyone that serves, but it's just there's different. It's different now.
It is. It is. It is different, and I don't know, as much as I would like to see it not be the way it is today. As much as I would like to see it be more like that, like it was on September 12th of 2001. I don't think we'll be able to go back there. And there's a whole lot of we can speculate and discuss what has happened, and I think there's a lot of layers to what has been the catalyst for the change that we've seen. But
yeah, and it's just like and this is just one other thing of all the other things that have been happening over the last few years, and like the last year seems like it's like there's always these things pointing us towards like almost like our own demise, our own destruction of like where are we headed as a species, like mentally, politically, it's just scary.
it is, and something I'm going to say that is sort of, I guess, optimistic and positive for me on that topic is that, in my personal experience in interacting and just going about daily life, is that I really do think that generally speaking, most people are like good people.
Oh yeah, for
You
sure.
know, I mean, I know evil is out there, and there are
Yeah.
evil people, and there are people that have ill intentions. And you come across somebody at the grocery store, you have no idea what that person's really like.
Right.
But I think, generally speaking, everybody's kind of like good. Like,
Yeah, we're emotional creatures, so like we have empathy and sympathize with people most of the time.
most of the time.
And that's why it takes an evil person to commit such an act.
Yeah.
Someone that's so distraught and you know who knows what their mental state is or whatever. But
Yeah. And I until we find out what the motive was behind all of that, and we may never really know, because unfortunately in a lot of these high profile situations, I don't think we ever really get to the bottom of why it happened.
yeah,
You know, that's sort of the unfortunate part.
Yeah, I
because
mean-
you can't. I feel like you can't really fix it if you don't know
right.
what causes it. You know.
And the FBI is already like not good at giving information out to begin with. Like I'm surprised we got as much as we did today.
Yeah, I am too, and I don't know if that's attributed to some of the changes that this administration has been trying to make in that area, especially because in years past, and I'm not putting this on the last administration or any particular administration, the FBI has been not particularly above board in a lot of stuff
Yeah.
for a long time. This isn't something new.
Right.
This has been going on for a while.
Yeah.
So you have these organizations within the federal government system that don't really have to report to anybody, and they don't really have to answer to anybody. And unfortunately, what it's created is an environment of non-accountability.
Yeah.
And so we'll see.
Yeah. So once again, I would just like to give our like thoughts and prayers out to his family and him and everything that happened yesterday, and hope
Yeah.
that going forward, have a little bit more, be a little more open-minded, have a little bit more sympathy for people, and we need to. And like you said, most people are good, but we gotta drop this hate culture that we're in. There's so much.
It just seems like there's like no in between. It's
Like, why are we all
right,
enemies? There's no reason for it.
Everybody just goes 0 to 60.
Yeah.
You see these you see this stuff on social media, and I think social media honestly is probably has played a big factor or has played a large role in why people feel so emboldened to be hateful.
Yeah.
Because I think you and I have talked about this off the air in the past, but it's like, damn well that probably 99% of the people that talk shit on social media would never say the stuff they say to you if you were standing there in front of them.
Right.
They wouldn't say it.
Nope. In any argument, regardless of what it is,
Correct.
doesn't matter.
They wouldn't spew that kind of crap if you were face to face.
And that's why, I used to I was, at one point in my mid-20s, I had every social media platform. I was on Twitter,
Yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, all of it. But it caused it had such a negative impact on my life, just with people, relationships, friends, coworkers, everything. No matter what it was at any time, it always seemed like some kind of it was almost like a burden,
Yeah, no,
to have it.
No, I understand what you're saying.
And so
I know what you're saying.
over the last few years, I eventually started getting rid of it, and not to just avoid people or get it, but it's just I don't need that kind of stress or negativity in my life. I've lived a much happier life. I do have a Facebook account, but that's it. And that's mostly to look and share memes and keep in touch with family and friends, but
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it anymore. My mental health, just based off of scrolling and seeing what people are saying every day, regardless of what it is,
And it's like
it weighs on you.
It's like, and what do you do when somebody posts something that's quote unquote controversial? We just go to the comments.
Yeah,
Immediately. And it's like, oh, let's see what asshole I can find on here. Oh,
Yeah.
look at this guy. Something, and this is one of the things that I said during the pandemic stuff, was why that was so, even at the time while it was happening, we are social beings.
Yeah.
You know, we are meant
Yeah, we
to
crave social interaction.
we are meant to interact. We're
Yeah.
gregarious. We're people. That's how God created us, to interact with others.
Right.
So when that all is going on, everybody's like locked up in their house. So you're with your wife, or you're with your wife and kids. You're not going to the office. You're not going to the grocery store. When you do go to the grocery store, you're not allowed to talk to anybody.
Right.
You gotta make sure you go down the aisles correctly, and you can't go out to eat anymore and sit at the bar and talk to make new friends or talk to people that you don't know about, whatever. And that's ingrained in the fabric of human beings. I feel like that created such a festering boil on humanity to be separated from each other, that social media saw this rise of now that's how people were interacting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it just created this whole environment of,
I think COVID and the shutdown had a bigger long-term effect on us more than we think.
it certainly has had a
And
huge
this is a
effect on
perfect
kids.
example. Oh yeah, and especially younger children.
Yeah.
And it caused a lot of mental health problems,
Yeah.
social issues.
Yeah.
People especially younger people that, you're molding a mind at a young age.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if kids were being homeschooled or whatever it was at the time, but
Yeah,
I've noticed that a
Zoom
lot
or
of young
whatever.
kids that grew up through that pandemic have really bad social skills, or they have social anxiety, or they don't know how to interact with the public.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another thing.
That's sad, because you come out of that and now, 5 years later, things back to normal, quote unquote. And, kids got to go back to school, and people have to go back to work in the office and do all these things. And it's like, what kind of long-term effect does that have on somebody, like a kid that was, think about a kid that was 5 when that happened, who's now 10.
Right.
How does that affect that child's development, education, social interaction, social maturity, emotional maturity, all the things that would be normally happening through their progression in life because of interacting with teachers and other kids in the class and what have you.
Yeah, and I can kind of speak on the public customer service side of that during that pandemic was because my dad had passed away just before all that happened. Mm-hmm. So that was already a thing that I was adjusting to, mentally. And then when the shutdown happened in the job that I had at the time, not realizing that I could have had compensation from that job and just stayed home, I went and chased and got another job during the pandemic, and then I was just working. I got a job in food service, and when we found out that they weren't shutting down at all, they were just going to have one customer come in at a time. They had all these guidelines and rules and masks and hand washing things. And it was that was when I learned how nasty people can really be. Because I had worked in customer service and retail for a long time, but in that scenario, it made people worse to interact with. And it went on for a few years, And now it's it got to that point, and now it's not changing.
Do you think that you seeing that type of behavior from people was a result of told you can't do the things that you were used to doing?
Yeah. People don't like being told what to do, and I think that was a big part of it.
But a lot of people did what they were told to do.
Yeah, they still listened.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that just didn't care, and they went along with it,
And that's, speaking of that, now that you bring that up, there was the group of people that, I'm not wearing a mask, I'm not doing this, and that fueled a ton of divisiveness in our society, ton, because then you had the people on this side saying that people that weren't wearing the mask, you were going to kill people, you were going to be responsible for people dying,
right?
And they were like, what, that really ramped up that 0 to 60 hatred toward other people that were on the other, you didn't get the vaccine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with you? You're going to kill your grandparents and your mom and your dad, and this is going to, what, you had a Thanksgiving get-together? What's wrong with you?
I know.
And it was just everybody was just you were either here or you were here.
Yeah, and when you were in the workplace in an office with people, I worked with a couple people who were even after the shutdown was over and the pandemic was supposedly, done for a while, we had coworkers that were oh man, I got to go home. I can't be here. if you got a cold, I can't be here. And it's like,
Yep.
okay, well, yeah, but like you can't let something like that scare you into living that way.
Right.
Yes, we have to take precautions, and when there's these horrible viruses that do kill people, like yes, we need to be sanitary and be safe and be respectful of people, but at the same time, it's like you can't live in fear though.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that ruined a lot of friendships and work relationships with people I've known,
Really?
over the years. Yeah.
Really?
Especially like in retail. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Maybe we're onto something. Maybe we kind of answered or partly answered the question that we were asking early on, was like, how did we get to this point where there's this level of hatred toward people on the opposing who have opposing views to yours? And now we're talking through this, and I'm kind of going, well,
Yeah.
maybe that environment had something to do with it.
Yeah, it had a long-term effect on everyone.
I mean, obviously, we're still seeing those effects from a societal standpoint today, right?
And we almost like stereotype people into categories with like,
yes,
like if you're on the left, then you're like all crazy about COVID and masks and all that. But if you're on the right, you're
you're the anti-vaxxer.
yeah, anti-vaxxer. It's like
you don't care about people dying. You just you want people to die.
Yeah, and you buy guns and like all. It's like you can't
Yeah.
stereotype everyone into those categories because not everyone is like that.
But you're right.
But we do.
But we do, and we did then during that period of time, right? It was either you're a masker or you're an anti-masker. You're a vaxxer, anti-vaxxer, and it was just this like polar opposites, and there was no in between. Like we couldn't come together and say, okay, I respect the fact that you don't want to get the vaccine. Okay, you do you. Or I can respect
There's none of that.
There was none of that happening. And yeah, maybe that's how we got to where we are today.
It's definitely influenced the behavior, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And how people react to things.
Yes. Yes.
It's not just like a like he was trying to do, having open conversations, open discussions about anything, anything and everything, like we are right now. Unfortunately, over the years, people have become more sensitive, and people are just triggered by everything.
That's the key, though. I mean, I think people, like, being sensitive is one thing. Like, I get it. I do. I get it. That there are certain topics and certain things that, for me, I'm sensitive to.
Sure.
Like, more sensitive than others, I would say. I can give you an example of one of the things that's, and this is a really personal thing to me, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm very sensitive to the topic of abortion, and that's because I'm adopted.
Right.
So I know what could have happened.
Yeah.
Had my parents not done what they did.
Right.
So that is a topic that is very personal to me, and I'm very sensitive to that topic. However, I do not engage in hating other people or hate speech toward other people who feel differently about that topic of abortion.
Right.
I disagree. Okay. And I have but I can at least verbalize to you why I feel the way I feel. Yeah. And I have other reasons why I feel
and like
the way I do.
That reason alone is a very valid reason that you would hope that anyone that would disagree with you would respect your opinion on that.
Could at least see where I'm coming
from. Like come to level with you as like a human and be like, oh yeah like that totally makes sense, like empathy. I can't imagine.
Empathy, like we're talking about. Right. So so sensitivity is one thing. But you meant you said triggered, and I feel like that is like a thing. Like people just, like I said, we were talking like 0 to 60. It's like
people completely crash out and just
like flip.
Don't think clearly when they're speaking or replying to something.
Yeah,
and it's like
it's so.
And like for a while, I always wanted to be like careful how I spoke and like walk on eggshells around people. But now I don't give a shit. And like,
why should I mean, if you're being I feel like if you're being respectful, because you can disagree and be respectful,
and that's how I approach everything.
Right.
Now,
if you're being respectful of another person, and you're being humane to another person, and you're showing compassion to another person, you shouldn't be afraid to say something. Right. I'm just like stumbling over my words here, but it's like to me that's just like common. To me that's common sense, right? Like that is common sense.
Because at the end of the day, I mean, most people aren't really looking to pick a fight with anyone. and it shouldn't have to be a fight.
Certainly would not, like I said earlier, would not do it
In person,
face
to face.
They're not going to want to pick a fight with you.
No.
There are a lot of online picking of fights that goes on, but that's
just daily, all day long,
all day long
on every little thing. And and I was even telling Alexis this the other day. I'm like, I've, with the algorithm of YouTube and Facebook, how like it gives you stuff that you are interested in and stuff that you talk about with people. And my YouTube and Facebook is very full of video games, film, nerdy stuff, but like no matter what the topic is, even in those categories, you can scroll to like one post and there's already some insane long chain of argument going on about something so simple.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about a lot of those things.
Yes, you are. Right.
Whether it's has to do with like Lord of the Rings or The Last of Us or Star Wars or whatever. It doesn't matter. You're passionate, so you feel like you want to respond or need to respond, but I'm getting to the point where I just don't. Because all it's going to do is get me worked up.
Right.
And that's just not worth it.
It's not. It's not. And that's like, I don't engage in that kind of stuff on social media.
I don't do it anymore.
I don't do it. I don't do it because at the end of the day, you're not going to, all it's going to do is ramp up your level of being pissed off, because if that person responds to you, then it's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you're just going to get more pissed off because you're like, this person's like this.
And what did you gain from that?
Nothing. Just being pissed off.
You waste a lot of time.
30 minutes. Yeah.
Of someone you'll never meet. And, it's...
Right. Exactly. It's like, whatever.
And now when I scroll past those things, I'm like, man, I really feel sorry for you. I hope that you have a better day, and I hope that your life isn't so bad that you feel that you need to act like this every day on social media.
Right.
But I genuinely mean, like, I hope that person, like, I hope you have a better day. Like, I hope whatever's going on that you feel like you need to react this way, I hope something changes for you.
Yeah.
Because, like, my God.
No, you're right.
So, plane coming in.
Yeah. No, and I'm the same way. I just, and it's crazy. Like you said, it's like any topic. Like Chicago Bears fan, as sad as that may be to say for some people to hear. We had one game, and we lost, and the comments on Twitter and on Facebook, it's just like, stop it.
I know.
Just stop. I mean, get it? Like, I've suffered through this for my entire life. Okay, we've won one Super Bowl. I'm a Cubs fan too. One World Series in my lifetime. A lot of awful seasons, and it's just like everybody just like overreacts. Oh my God, they should fire their coach. They should bench the quarterback. They should. And it's like, are you listening to yourself right now? What do you know about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just sit back and watch a game. And if it's going to piss you off that much, then don't put the game on. Don't.
I have a group of friends that I play music with.
Yeah.
And a few of them get very passionate about football. We got a
Steelers fan.
We got a Steelers fan, a Broncos fan, and a Giants fan.
Okay.
So you could see where that, you know. And they're getting into sports betting and all this kind of stuff too. And like the at the end of the day, I'm like, I can respect all the teams and everything that they go through every year. And it's like, at the end of the day, you have no control on what happens in that industry.
None.
So you might as well just be a fan, like a Bears fan or whatever.
Yeah.
And just watch the game, and hopefully they do well.
I know. No, you're right. Like I'm also a big college football fan too.
Yeah.
And I saw this meme like 2 days before the football season started, and it was like, okay, I'm now entering the chapter of my life where I'm going to let 18 to 22-year-olds control my emotions for the next 4 months. And I'm like, yeah, that's
about
real.
right.
That's real.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, it's so crazy.
I followed the Pittsburgh Penguins for a while, like really closely, and I let that happen for a bit too.
But it sucks you in.
Got pulled on the schedule. Like I was watching every game. I was,
it sucks you in.
And I'm like, this is not good.
It sucks you in, and it's, I know. Yeah, you can ask my wife how I reacted Monday night after the Bears lost. So
yeah,
but yeah, I think I just hope that we as a society and as a people can kind of move forward in a positive way after this event.
Yeah,
and it shouldn't take an event like this to get people to see it in a different way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a shame that it came to this, and we don't know. We don't know. It just happened. So I'm sure there's going to be chaos for a little bit.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
and I also hope that people that have similar views, shared views with him, don't do stupid stuff.
Yeah, like, because that's the last thing you need is like the people that cared about him or respected him acting out in a way of violence or saying something stupid or,
Right.
because people are, what's the word? People are waiting for retaliation, I think.
Yeah.
And I hope that
And
that
so it's
doesn't.
almost like that's kind of like this, like almost this calm before the storm, like this feeling that, oh, is this going to trigger some like crazy retaliation type of event from people who shared the same views that he had?
Yeah. Maybe the aliens will show up before then and just
Yeah, maybe.
maybe.
Speaking of that, I didn't dive super deep into it, but I saw an article talking about the I 3A
The 3-eye atlas.
3I atlas.
Yeah.
I always call it 3A 3I atlas. That supposedly there's been I don't know how they figured this out or who figured this out or if it's even true that this is it contains some sort of a it's an alien like almost like a nuclear reactor.
Yeah. I saw
You've
that
seen
too.
that too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and like they keep studying it and finding different like minerals and like
Metals and
materials
stuff.
like nickel
Yeah.
and carbon dioxide and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff.
Yeah.
I watched a little bit of the UFO conference today, which was interesting. Because they had a couple whistleblowers on there today too.
Oh.
One guy, I was saying his name before I got on here, but then when we discussed that this episode was going to be completely different, I forgot his name. But one of the guys that was interviewed in the hearing today, who had spoke on one of his events that he had experienced with UFO, who is now unemployed from the government, and he even said on the hearing, he's like, "I'm unemployed now, collecting unemployment." Until
Was this like a Senate hearing
yes,
type thing? Okay.
yeah, and how they were asking him all these questions, and he kept mentioning a skiff, like he couldn't answer that on a public hearing. He had to like, and he's like, I don't. And like the last question they asked him, "Do you feel safe?" And he's like, "Do I feel like my life is threatened?" No. He's like, "But I feel like I can't answer that honestly without putting a target on my back."
Yeah.
With some of the, and like he's like,
That makes sense.
and he's like, everything that I know now after what happened to me, he's like, yeah, I don't know.
Was this guy who was he working? CIA, FBI,
Yeah,
something like
so
that.
one of those
Something like
organizations.
that.
And what was the other thing? The big thing that they talked about? Oh yeah, because they were talking about from events from like the 80s till current, and one of them was how a Hellfire missile was deflected by a UFO, and it's caught on camera. And there's this UFO, and there you can see a Hellfire missile being shot, and it's from like the perspective of the whatever camera they use to shoot those,
Okay.
and the black and white,
Yeah. Yeah. like
aerial
that.
camera.
Right.
Yeah. So this missile hits this UFO, and it almost looked like the UFO had split and deflected and absorbed the missile. So that was the one thing that I thought was
the
crazy.
missile shot at the UFO with
Yes.
the intention of taking it down?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then there was another one where they had, I think this was in Russia, maybe, but they had taken a UFO that was in some underground thing being studied to figure out how it worked. And all these scientists and researchers confirmed that this was not of our planet. It did not operate on any kind of fuel. It didn't have any kind of aerial like dynamic stuff. It didn't have wings or a tail or anything.
Mm-hmm.
It was very aerodynamic and just not of this world. And that was another thing that was covered up. And like the point of the hearing was them just continuously talking about how all these things keep coming out and we're not talking about it and we're not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
And the U.S. government's the ones that definitely aren't taking it seriously.
Well, yeah.
And then like they have Avi Loeb like every week up on the news being interviewed by some news reporter asking on updates with the Atlas situation. I don't know. It's crazy stuff, and like the more we've talked about it each week, the more I keep watching things and updates on everything that's happening. And it's another thing too that we have no control over it, whatever is happening. So
Yeah.
but
it's fun to talk about, and it's fun to speculate, it's fun
Yeah.
to hypothesize on stuff.
yeah,
You're right, we don't we can't control what the outcome of this thing will be, or if it's whatever. But it is still. I don't know. It's interesting to me to talk about it,
Yeah.
and like it's always like the what ifs for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Me
like
too.
always like catches me. It's like,
Yeah.
but what if?
Yeah.
You know, so that's always kind of fun.
Maybe, I watched a few videos, and maybe in a future episode, maybe when we get closer to this thing approaching our solar system, I can do a little more research and break down the science behind this thing,
Okay.
because it's very interesting, but it's a lot of technical terms and stuff that we don't normally sit and talk about. So
Okay.
if that's something you guys are interested in talking about, I can do a little.
Science is not my strong suit, but
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
it's very interesting.
But it's interesting stuff.
So maybe I'll look into that a little bit. But
yeah, that's interesting.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was an interesting episode.
Yeah, but I felt, like I said early at the beginning of this, I had put together some, and we'll still talk about the stuff that I had on my outline, but I felt compelled, like it was last night. It was like I felt compelled to kind of talk more about what we talked about, because I think it's important to be human and to be out there and put it out there, and we can have our opinions, and that's fine, but I think at the end of the day, let's show some compassion toward other people. It's not that hard. It's really not.
No, it's not.
And I think that's why we kind of tend to gravitate toward people that share the same opinions that we do, because we don't get any pushback. Right.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But that's one of the things that Charlie Kirk did really well, which was, hey, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
I want to hear where you're coming from. So few of us want to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's very brave for doing that. And watching him, you can see it on his face, the way that he was very good at holding his ground and talking about what he stood by. But he was so, and this is why he was well respected. You could see that he was willing to hear the person that he was speaking one-on-one with in a crowd of people, not letting anyone else interrupt the conversation.
I think that was one of his greatest attributes, was being able to listen. Yeah. Because most of us, I'm guilty of it too at times, tried to get better, but we don't actually listen to what a person's saying. 90% of the time we're listening as we prepare to respond.
Yeah. And you're not hearing what they're saying.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're not really hearing what they're saying. You heard what you wanted to hear, so you're preparing in your mind your response, and you're not absorbing that other person's opinion or feelings.
Yeah. I know an overused response nowadays, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, but it's either I hear you or I get it.
Yeah.
And you hear that in the workplace a lot.
Yes, you do.
And it's like, do you really hear me though?
Right.
Or do you really get it? Because I don't think you do.
And one of the things about when people say I hear you, I've always made this distinction between hearing a person and listening to a person.
Yes.
Like, those are two different things.
Yeah.
We hear sounds all day long, right? Hearing a person talk to you doesn't mean you're listening.
Right.
Doesn't mean that you're understanding or absorbing or processing what that person's telling you.
Yeah.
And most of us don't do that. I said, I myself am guilty of doing that at times, especially if it's a topic I don't give a shit about, or B, it's an opinion that I'm like, that's contrary to what I think, and we kind of shut down.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a natural thing. I don't know. I don't know if it's something that you can work on. I think you can work on, practice on getting better at it, and I'm trying to do that.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes I'll reflect after something. I'm like, man, I feel like I wasn't. Genuinely, I'm like, I don't think I was listening that well.
Yeah, I myself.
I've been there, and I'm like,
damn,
I need to be better at that.
Yeah, I've same here, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Overall, I thought this was a good. Like I said, I just felt compelled to talk about this stuff tonight. And
I did too, because yesterday I was getting some things together, and had some ideas and things I wanted to talk about, and this all happened, and I kind of like drifted off from even thinking about recording today, and I got up today and was thinking about it more, and I'm like, I feel like it's appropriate to just sit down and talk about what's happening right now. And it
I agree.
obviously
Yeah, we
we
were on the
both
same
felt
page.
the same way.
Yeah, because you and I hadn't.
Prepared anything.
Well, and typically we share in the days leading up to us recording. We share with each other sort of where our head is, and we'll screenshot like, hey, here's my notes, and here's kind of what I'm thinking about talking about. And what's uncanny,
Yeah.
not a coincidence, I don't believe in those, is that like 9 times out of 10, you and I are on the same page.
Yeah.
And like this week,
We haven't spoke.
we haven't communicated at all about recording this episode. When you got here, I said, hey, I sort of told you the plan, and you're like, yeah, me too. I'm on the same page. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because
cool.
I was already prepared to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I just had assumed you were as well.
Which is like, that's
You know.
crazy, right?
But
'Cause,
yeah.
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 But it was good. I think it was a good episode, a heartfelt episode. I think
Yeah, and I
it needed
liked
to
the
happen.
setting too.
We're supposed to have really good weather for the next like 10 days. So this might be the same venue we used next time.
I'd like to get a few more people out here too soon. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it would be.
We could fit at least 4 people out here.
Yeah, easily. Right.
But yeah, if you tuned in today, thank you. Thank you for listening. I know this is a very it's a touching subject. It's a little upsetting for most people right now, and you know, our hearts go out to all the people that are affected by this, and you know, continue to like, subscribe, leave us some comments, tell us some stories, and we will see you next time.